Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tuesdays at 2:15 actually, to be precise. And there's actually no name of this. I just created that right there on the spot. And well, welcome. I go live on Tuesdays, and today I have a guest. If you know the famous Mika Rock, my colleague and doula in partner and doula in crime, who works with me at Rock the Cradle. And welcome, Mika.
Thank you, Sylvia.
I'm so glad you could come.
I'm so glad to be here with you. I've been seeing you jumping on, and it's lovely to have this
Yeah, I was like,
opportunity.
rather than you commenting in the comments, come and join us. And actually, the title I called it, Tuesdays at 2, which is right, but often, we call these the doula dialogues. And yeah, jumping on here today, we're going to be talking about a really important aspect of preparing for your birth, and that is preparing your mindset. And we thought we would talk specifically about creating that flexible birth mindset. And Mika, I know you have firsthand experience with this, and I thought we would start with a story. How did this show up for you in your birth?
Yeah, this takes me to my second birth, which is
Mm.
now almost 9 years ago. Hard to believe, but yeah, birth of my daughter. And yeah, I was planning a midwifery birth just like I had with my first, unmedicated. I had all my plan lined out, and my wishes were very clear for me. And I like to say, and then my baby changed direction. And she literally did, because she went breech.
Whoop. Yes.
Yeah. And it was
Yeah.
quite early on. I was 29 weeks when she turned breech. And she basically put me in a whole new spin. I was needing to adapt and be flexible even long before labor began. Yeah, so that is where I learned firsthand how to be flexible and adaptable.
Yeah, and we
So
don't think about that going into our second, right? I mean, second and third. I have three kids. I never thought, well, for once, that the births would be different, right? But they are. They're like
completely.
each little tiny human is so different. And you think, well, your body is not that different. Why would she turn? Why? And I'm
She
sure all of
must, yeah,
all
she
of
had
those
her
questions.
reasons.
Yeah.
She
And
had
sometimes
her
we don't
own.
realize it. Like we don't even know the answer afterwards, do we? A lot of the
Exactly.
times. And that, at 29 weeks, for sure, that puts a spin, because then all of a sudden you have to create a new plan.
Exactly. And the first plan was taking it day by day and doing everything that was available to invite her to shift head down. And yeah, the more the week passed, like I was already 35 weeks when I had. I'm not even going to list everything I did. It was like this huge list of stuff.
Yeah.
But I ended up going for an external Catholic inversion, an ECV, where she basically did not turn. So she jumped right back up every time. And that turned on my labor. So after an ECV, they do a
Okay.
monitor, and my surges were coming in. So I didn't have much time to try and think of other ways of birthing her. It was, this is it, this is happening. Um, Long story short, I had a belly birth, or a section, and she taught me big time on how I needed to completely
To let go.
let go and be flexible. And it was a beautiful birth. And the doctor and the nurses that were there were so attentive and present. And I learned beforehand, because, and that's part of, I think, of being flexible, is knowing your options, about delayed cord clamping with surgery, the ability to have baby skin to skin. There were a lot of things that I requested and that were given, because she was doing great when she came out. And I think for me, that was a very positive, again, I'll
Right. So
put
it
it
turned your, it turned, not it turned the story, but the story for you is a positive one. While
exactly.
for many, they could get stuck in those feelings of it not going the way they wanted to, and not accepting it and not moving through that, and then, having a positive experience. And that's what we talk a lot about at Rock the Cradle, We're all about having a positive birth experience. And that comes down to being knowledgeable about your options and being part of that discussion, which sounds like what you experienced. You were part of that discussion. I mean, it doesn't mean you didn't try everything in your power and in your means, right? I mean, we're
Exactly.
not just saying, okay, accept, and that's not what creating a flexible birth mindset is. I mean, it is. I think you started this with saying it's knowing what you want, and a cesarean
Yes,
was not what you wanted.
not at all.
No,
Like
for
if
some
you,
women it is. For some
yeah.
women it is, and then it wasn't for you. Yeah. So knowing what you want, and I think with your doula clients that we and in our classes we talk a lot about knowing what you want, and there's nothing wrong with knowing and having an idea of what you want in birth.
And that's where we come in with the birth wishes. And
Mm,
part of our doula services is that we want to know, we want to help you understand what's important for you, what are your values,
mm.
what's going to make a difference for you during labor. And having that on a piece of paper or just having a conversation about that is going to be helpful for you. But then when the real deal happens, when you're actually in labor, that piece of paper or that knowledge can be in the background, but it's not going to be, getting stuck on a certain idea or wanting things to go a certain way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But before we get to the birth, let's talk a little bit about the birth wishes and how we, make it. A couple of weeks ago, I did a video, so you can always go and look in the videos, and about the, is a birth plan important? And I think Mika and I shared that is that yes, it is a wonderful exercise for you as a birthing person to do, because you can check off all of the different things that you would like to to see, or we call them birth wishes that you would wish for in your birth if possible, and as also with your partner, getting them on board and your doula as well, so your whole team when we do these plans. And it allows you to, that flexibility starts to, we don't do the birth plan to say this is how it's going to go, it has to go this way, otherwise I'm not going to be happy. But it allows us to start looking, oh, well, I've never contemplated actually, the other medications that there might, they might have. Oh, I didn't know that I could walk around if I, whatever the, I can't think of examples at the moment, but,
There's so
so it's,
many,
there
right?
are so many and I can't think of one. There you go.
It's okay. And it really connects to also know your place of birth. Know if you're birthing at a hospital or if you're birthing at a birthing center, understand how this place will accompany you through labor. What are the interventions that are
Oh my
offered?
gosh, Mika, I'm just thinking of all of our clients. We're in Montreal for all those watching elsewhere. And we have one of the big hospitals here that a lot of people go to because it's a brand new hospital. Well, it's still relatively new. And it has no tools, no birth tools. And people go there because it's shiny and it's new and it might be close to where they live. But when they find out later on, when they take our classes at 30 weeks, that there's no bathtub, there's no laughing gas, they don't have this, they don't have this, they want you to birth on your back, right? I see it on their face. Like, shoot, I wish I had chosen differently. So that flexibility and that openness even starts before, almost knowing, when we're trying to have a baby, look into all of these things.
Yeah, and the key here is when you choose your care provider, your medical care provider, know that that will basically be whoever they're affiliated to. That's the place of birth. That's where you're going to give birth.
Yeah.
So do your homework there.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
big
it's true.
decision.
It's true. Oh, for sure. And then in birth, so you had alluded to that a little bit about being flexible. I think we've both had clients that really knew and really wanted things to go a certain way, and of course are disappointed when they don't. But I think part of the work we do as doulas is bringing them to that knowledge. I think even before birth happens, about what happens when baby went left instead of right, and how do we deal with that? What are some of the tools? How do you work with your clients in that regard?
I think it's during labor, taking the time to understand your choices when these moments arise, when birth does go left, even though you wanted to go straight forward. And then, as we said before, know your options in that moment, even if you didn't prepare for your baby, to be in -2 for many hours and labor is stalling and things are,
Who plans for that?
nobody does, but
Exactly.
it does show up
You
in
can.
certain
Yeah.
situations. And then what do we do? What are our options? Do we try some spinning baby techniques? Do we try um, to go out for a walk? Do we like just understanding that there's this place where if you are part of the decision making, even if you do end up taking medication in that time, like if that's the right choice for you, you have been the one who made that choice. I think that's the key
Yeah,
about
because when things
flexibility.
happen to us without us wanting that, then we have regret, which then comes back to saying, "Ah, had I known, had I said no, had I done this, had I changed positions, had I not listened to them, then things might have gone differently. Maybe they wouldn't have. We
Who
don't know."
knows,
But that's
right?
always that doubt that's in your mind forever, and ever.
But that's that agency that we talk about. That place where you are in the driver's seat, where you are the one who says, yes, I want this, and this is what is true for me right now. That's the flexibility. That's where I'm thinking of one specific birth right now where she really didn't want to go the medicated, she called it to board the train of the medicated birth, and she ended up doing it. And afterwards, now she's talking about it with a very positive attitude because nobody pushed her there. Nobody told her to do that. It was completely her choice to step into that. And what a difference it makes. And there's so many moments I find, especially during a hospital birth, that you can be pushed into, or you can be someone else will make the decision for you. And as long as it's not an emergency, that does not need to happen. And I think as doulas, we are big on that, to support you being flexible, to support you to revisit your wishes and understand, okay, this is my next step right now, and I know that this is right for me and my baby, for me and my body.
Oh, that's so important. That's lovely. Yes, yes, yes. And this even goes with parenting, right? We have an idea. We're talking birth here, but I'm just thinking, our clients who have babies now, and they have these expectations, or about sleep, or about nutrition, or whatever it is. And I think that being open, and that goes for life in general,
It
just being
does.
open and being open to new things, to learning new things, new possibilities.
And
Yes.
trying as parents, being open to trying things, and maybe they won't work. Maybe we need to try over again. But having that place, going back to our word of the day, flexibility, where we don't stay stuck just because we decided that this is the way to do it. And
Yes.
from whatever angle you're coming, into it. One of the things I love about the mommy group that we have right now is that we have parents there that do co-sleeping, and we have parents who do sleep training, and they're all open, and there's an open discussion where everybody's listening
Yeah.
in, and just sharing ideas and beliefs. And that's for me where flexibility shows up, where a really hot topic can be shared, and you can hold that somebody else actually sees it very differently than you. That's a flexible mindset.
Well, thank you for putting that group together, because that is all you. That is,
Aw.
well, all you put that and invited all these lovely, lovely families to come every week. It's every Tuesday at 1 p.m. online. Just look at the page here. We can put the link in the comments.
Yeah, it's a Zoom, and it's a lovely community. We have babies in all ages, and everybody's welcome. It's really fun and
Yeah.
inclusive. It's a really inclusive group.
Now, I know you have recently finished your hypnobirthing certification. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I imagine that the flexibility and the birth mindset, it must be a big part of this course that you teach to clients.
It is. I teach it together with Jenny B. And it is really one of the main affirmations of hypnobirthing is to be open to however my birth shows up.
Ah, That's beautiful. To be open to however my birth shows up.
So that's a core,
Lovely
a core belief of
philosophy.
this philosophy. And then I find it's helpful. And
Well, oh, I'm sorry. I was
no,
just going
no,
to think that a lot of people are coming to birth very fearful. We have a lot of anxiety in life in general, particularly, let's say it during COVID times, and then add on the challenges of birth and being pregnant during these times where things are different and not knowing how birth is going to play out, but also in a time of pandemic, right? So
even
women I
more.
find are coming to us very, very anxious. Not everybody, of course. And this openness, I believe in, and understanding all the different paths they can take, I find is gets them to that place of power. And I think the more we know, then it comes back to knowledge. The more we know, the more they know, the less frightened that anxiety can be subdued a little bit.
And I find our classes, the Rock the Cradle classes that we offer, they build a lot of confidence, and that is a big piece too. When we have the knowledge, when we know what we're up for, it gives us that extra confidence that goes a long way during birth. So we're not feeling lost or in a place where we're not understanding what's going on. Because that's when fear kind of takes over in those moments where we feel helpless or, not understanding. And I find in our birth classes, we give so much information and hands-on, even on Zoom, hands hands-on practice to really get into those birth positions, to know what's available. That once you actually show up in labor, you can navigate it with flexibility and more positivity, which is what we're all about here at Rock the Cradle. You're
Oh, I
most
think so. And I think one of the challenges for people is not being able to have doulas when they would like to have a doula present at their birth. But I think there's still other ways. Talk about being flexible for people, for families, right? And flexible for doulas is that learning to navigate this in the time of pandemic where only one support person is allowed in many places. So what does that look like? That just looks very different, but the support is still being
offered.
offered and accepted, and it's getting the information just in a different way, and the support in a different way than we had thought. So I think it's a wonderful preface to actually being open in the whole I think childbirth year. My gosh, yeah, yeah. Well, it's been lovely having you, Mika. I don't know. Do you have any last words? Any tips and tools for the women listening?
Wow. On this subject, maybe find what works for you to prepare for the most positive birth possible. That's my last words for today, and thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to see you and have you online. And thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back. We'll be back next Tuesday at 2 and with another fun topic about pregnancy, birth, and parenting. And if you would like to learn more about us, we're having an open house. We have one every third Wednesday of the month, and that's actually tomorrow. And see how Mika, Ida, and Jenny and I can support you during this time to teach you about, different tips and tools and share with you. And that's, we want you to have the most positive birth and parenting experiences possible. So thank you, Mika.
Thank you, Sylvia.
It was nice to see you. And we'll catch everybody next week. Okay, bye.